In this video, we'll be going through Chapter 7, Section 3, where we look at acids and bases. This is our first dive into acids and bases, so it's just going to be general characteristics of each. So, some characteristics of acids. Acids are compounds whose characteristic properties include the kinds of reactions they undergo. Generally, acids have a tendency to taste sour. They react with metals and carbonates, and they turn blue litmus paper a red color. So litmus paper is an indicator paper similar to when you dip for pH and it changes colors and you can see what the pH level is. There's a blue litmus paper or a red litmus paper that you can use to test for acids and bases. Acids, again, turn a blue litmus paper a red color. Acids react with certain metals and produce hydrogen gas. So what that means is there's going to be hydrogens that are going to break off from those acids as part of their reactions. Often they're described as corrosive because they eat away at materials, and so what that means is that if it's poured on something, it has a tendency to break down that material, and so it looks like it's disappearing because it's reacting and it's breaking it down. Acids react with certain carbonates and create carbon dioxide, which will make little bubbles. Geologists often use this as a test to see if there is carbonates in different kinds of rocks. They'll take an acid and they'll drop it onto the rock, and if the rock bubbles, then they'll know that there are carbonates in the makeup of that rock. And then in general, just something to remember is that indicators have the ability to change color when they interact with an acid or a base. So when we're looking at litmus paper, pH paper, or any other kind of test, it's called an indicator if it's going to change colors to tell us what's in it. Properties of bases, okay, they can be identified by their common properties. They often taste bitter, they often feel slippery, and they turn red litmus paper a blue color. Okay, so now we're using red litmus paper and we're going to turn it blue. People often think of bases as the opposite of an acid. You can use indicators similar to acid to show that it's a base. So often the tests that you can do on acids, you can do on bases, and you'll get different answers. And that's how you know if it's an acid or a base. So we've been talking about the taste. We've been talking about the feel for both of these, right? And so something to remember is that when we're doing science, probably touching things that we don't know what they are or tasting things we don't know what they are is not the best method to test by. And so when we're talking about that, that's for ones that are already known. Like citrus juice, right? It has a sour taste, and so we know that it's acidic. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it being tasting sour or tasting bitter, things like that. All right, that wraps up Chapter 7, Section 3. We're in our first foyer into acids and bases.